Hey friends, my name is Linda Dolke and I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and today I wanted to make this cute card with you. I don't think I've done a video before showing how to use these fantastic gold hoops, and I just thought this would be a fun little card to do. So I actually was inspired today. This is our current mini catalogue, the August to December mini catalogue, and on page 43 we have the In the Pines bundle, which is this stamp set. Gorgeous it is, and you can see I've got it out here. It just arrived in my on my doorstep this week, so I couldn't wait to use it. And then there's also these fabulous Pine Woods dies, okay, and that's these. They are fantastic. You can see I've got one out to use here, but they are really lovely. You've got some lovely kind of scenery shapes you could make. You know, these could be snowdrifts or even just hills, and there's a curvy one here, and then there's some great pine trees you can use by themselves, and also some of these of course cut out some of the stamps. So let me show you what I've done with it today. So, sorry, just bring that back in again for a second. On page 43 again, you can see there's a card here that has the hoop, and it has some little trees and also a bit of ribbon and some acorns and some, you know, some fun things going on there in the background. And I was inspired by this card to create a card I wanted to use for an upcoming class. So this is the one I've come up with. Similar idea, I'm using the little trees in front of the hoop, and I've got some background stamping as well. And for this we're going to be using our stamparatus. So let's bring in the pieces that we need. First of all, I've got a piece of Whisper White thick cardstock, and I'm going to fold that in half. This is half a sheet of cardstock cut in half and then folded in half again to make your card base. So I'm going to use my bone folder, and then I'm going to set that card base aside for now. Alright, then I have a piece of garden green. You could use any green you like. This is quite a fairly neutral palette, so any green would work. I've chosen garden green today because it coordinates with this paper. But if you wished, I mean, obviously you could have this various different colours depending on your preference. And then I've also got a piece of Sahara sand. So each one of these pieces of paper is 1/2 centimetre smaller than the one above, so it's like there's a little bit of a border all the way around. If you're in the US and using letter cardstock, I usually go with 1/4 inch between each layer. So I'm going to start with this layer here, and I'm actually going to be, like I said before, using my stamparatus. So I'm going to bring that in. I've already set it up, but it's very easy if you wanted to set it up yourself. Let me take that off. So I've got a piece here, because these are photopolymer stamps. So when I say photopolymer, they're the see-through ones, the clear stamps, not the rubber stamps. Because of that, there is a mat under here that helps to fill in the foam that your rubber stamps have, so that you always get a great image. And I find that the stamparatus is great for working with both styles of stamps for that reason. You've got the extra layer of foam if you need it, and it comes with this little contraption. I'm using my magnet to hold it in place, and I'm putting it right into the corner. So this colour is Sahara sand, but you could use any neutral cardstock. So grey granite would work, crumb cake would work, any neutral you like, even smoky slate would be fine. And then I'm using Sahara sand ink because I have Sahara sand cardstock, but once again you would coordinate your ink to the cardstock that you're using. And I'm just going to ink this up. Now, if I was setting it up from scratch, I would just lay this onto the cardstock where I want it, pick it up with my side here, and this is the hinged edge of the stamparatus, and you do need to use the side one, not the top one, to get this side effect. This is what I love about the stamparatus. I think this is such a cool thing. You can take this whole plate out, move it down one hinge, ink it up again, and then we're going to bring that down across, and it's going to stamp perfectly. And because each hinge is the same measurement, they're all going to be perfectly lined up. You don't need to measure them, it just happens. And it's one of my favorite things about the stamparatus. I'm just inking it up each time. And I'm going to go all the way down my page. As far as I know, this is the only stamp positioner that has this particular feature. I love it. Okay, so now I've done the whole panel. I managed to get 5 of them on there, so that's pretty cool. Just going to put that back and put it away for the moment. And then I have a piece here of cardstock, sorry, a pattern paper that I'm just going to use a little bit of seal on. And I'm going to position this down the side. So I'm using a piece of, this is, oh, I'll put on the screen for you. Whoops. I need to line it up with the bottom. I've measured it to be the same length as the cardstock. Alright, now if you do go over, like if my measurement isn't very good, which it seems not to be, you can see I've just gone over a little bit, I can grab a pair of scissors and cut that so it perfectly matches. There we go. Just like that. Alright, so my base piece, well, it's almost done. I'm also going to take the extra step. I've got a little sponge dauber, or you could just use a regular sponge, and I'm just going to zip around the outside and give that a little bit of a sponged look all the way around the edge of my cardstock. Just makes it look finished, like you care about the edges. That extra step I think is always worth doing. All 4 sides. Okay, done. Put my lid back on. Okay, so now I'm going to be working with this little piece here, and I've got 3 pieces. I have a piece of brass that I'm going to be flagging the ends. Now you can just flag them by hand if you want to, use your scissors and cut the edges, but we do actually have a punch for that, so I'll bring that in just a moment. I've also got this piece here which needs to be stamped on, and I've already set this up in my stamparatus as well. Just to make things easier, I did this earlier. And what I'm going to do here is pop that down. I've got the other plate, like I said, that I already set up. All right, and I'm going to be using this in conjunction with a template that I've made. So this is a template. So what I did was I stamped with my stamparatus. I put my piece of paper here, I brought over my stamp, I stamped it, and then I put it through my machine and actually cut the shape. All right, so I then cut the little pine trees. I cut them out. All right, and now I've got blanks, and so I could do lots of these if I wanted to. I just put this back in, I position these here, and because it's in the same place that I did it the first time, it's going to work absolutely fine. So I'm going to just ink it up, bring it over, and now I have my little trees all ready to go. And the cool thing about this is that I could do multiples of these if I wanted to, because this is in the same spot each time. I just put them back in. So if you were making lots and lots of Christmas cards, all you have to do is cut once the hole, and then you just cut lots of blanks, and then when it comes to stamping, how easy is that? And they're done perfect every time. So it's a great little technique if you're doing die cutting and you wanted to cut lots and lots of shapes, or if you are like me, if you're running classes, I can cut all the shapes ahead of time and then just get people to stamp them in the class. It's fantastic. So I now have my stamp, and I'm also going to flag, like I said, the edges of this piece here. And here's the punch that I'm using for that. This is a new banner picker punch, and all it does 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch panels. This is a 1/2 inch panel, and I want this shape here. So I've cut this to fit in the 1/2 inch channel, and I put it in so that it goes all the way to the end. This is a 3 inch piece I'm using, 3 inches long. So it's going to end up a little bit shorter than that because I'm taking the ends off, obviously. And see how easy that is to do? Love this little punch. It's great. All right, so then this is going to wind up right on here like this, and these guys are going to end up over the top like this. So how do I attach this? And I think that's the question a lot of people have about the hoops, is how do we use them? They're actually really easy to use, but you'll be needing some glue dots for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, well, let me put this on here where I want it to be, so right about there, and then I'm going to turn this over and have it sitting on my bench. Right around there. And then I'm going to, it's up to you how you do it. I like to use the end of like a bone folder or something like that. And I'm just going to position one under there. And position the other at the other side. Like that. And how far, if you want to, rearrange a little bit, move it up a little bit, you can do it at this stage. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 more. And I'm going to have those on top because one is underneath the hoop. Now I want one on top of the hoop. And now another one. Obviously, there's lots of different ways you could do this, but I find this is quite a convenient way. So now I've got sticky on the outside as well as underneath. So that piece is going to hold together quite nicely. I'm going to position it, where would I like it? Probably around here. I don't want it to be too high. I'd like to be able to see the word greetings, and I want that to be straight, so I'm just making sure before I push it down that it's straight. That's not going to go anywhere now. It's held down nice and tight by those couple of glue dots. You don't actually need to secure it at the top. You could if you want to. You could put a glue dot. If ever you need to hide a glue dot here, you just roll the glue dot so it's really small, roll it up and hides behind there, and then push that down. I have done that, but I think those 2 glue dots under there, or the 4 that I've got there, are well and surely enough. Okay, so now I've got a couple of choices. I could, I'm actually going to use some mini dimensionals because, or probably I get away with normal dimensionals as well, but mini ones are good. And my black ones happen to be handy. I don't really need black behind this color, but I'm going to put one here, and one here. Okay, so further up the trees, and then I'm going to get my adhesive down here, and I'm just going to run that along the bottom. So I've got my dimensionals at the top, and I've got regular adhesive at the bottom. I'm going to take the backs off my dimensionals, and you'll see why I'm doing it like this, because the dimensionals are going to stop these bits from falling down, so it keeps it all at the same level as the foil. Does that make sense what I've done? Isn't this cute? Such an easy card really, but it looks really impressive. I think the hoop and all the brass and everything makes it look really cool. So now I've got, here's some, this is the faux suede ribbon, which is just lovely. It really does look like suede and it feels like suede, but of course it's just regular. And I'm going to cut this. I think, well, I've got inches here, about 6 inches. That's probably about 15 centimeters for anyone who's doing that. I'm going to fold it in half, and here's what I'm going to do. From the top, I'm going to feed it in under my hoop, just like that. And then I'm going to put my finger through the loop, and I'm going to pop the top bits through here. Now obviously this is way longer than what I need. You could cut this a bit shorter if you like, but I just didn't want you to end up with too small an amount. And I'm going to pull that tight, and then I'm going to use some scissors to chop off the ends. Much shorter. So you could have it shorter than this if you wanted to not have any wasted. I might just, there we go, just like that. Isn't that cute? I really like this. Okay, So then I'm going to use some Seal Plus to put the cardstock and cardstock together. And line it up so it's in the middle of my garden green piece. And again, some more adhesive. And that's going to go onto my white card base that I folded at the start. And it's really a very easy card. But I really like how it turned out. And I wanted to show you how to use these gold hoops today because they're really, really impressive. They really make it look like you're a bit clever, whilst at the same time just giving you that extra, well, it's a really lovely, shiny, smart look, I think. Looks really professional. I hope you enjoyed that card today. Just a quick and easy one. Obviously, we've used a couple of clever things like the stamparatus to get these pieces. You could just stamp them by hand, and if you don't care about, you know, whether you wanted them to be all equally distant apart, then you can just stamp them anywhere. If you don't have a stamparatus, obviously this card would just be a couple more steps, but you could still make the card quite easily. Have a great day, and I'll be back with more for you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.